everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to another episode of Tandem Fandom. I'm Mick.
I'm Courtney.
And today we're going to talk about one of our favorite things. Really what we find is the best part of summer.
Movies!
That's right. Today we will be talking about Warcraft for the Horde! Right here.
Right here on Tandem Fandom, you're getting an exclusive first look of the first ever Blizzard movie.
Yeah, it's impressive. I mean, for a game that started back in 1994 as a real-time strategy, which ultimately helped Blizzard to become a superpower in the gaming industry, now they are Activision Blizzard and are literally one of the two giant gaming companies.
Yeah, juggernauts. I mean, Blizzard has its own convention.
It's pretty incredible, and you know, they also have, in addition to Warcraft, tons of amazing properties like StarCraft, Diablo, Overwatch, which has just recently come out. But you can't help but ignore the world of Warcraft, which, without a doubt, is their biggest title.
You cannot talk about Blizzard without talking about Warcraft, because of course Warcraft spawned Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, World of Warcraft, maybe you've heard of it.
Even Hearthstone is essentially a Warcraft game. It also has a very heavy presence in Heroes of the Storm, their MOBA game. So Blizzard is just killing it in terms of gaming industry.
And it all started with this story that they tell in this movie.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So, for those of you unfamiliar, or you saw the preview for the movie and you were a fan of, say, World of Warcraft, you may be disappointed to find out you're not going to see many familiar faces.
Yeah, you're not going to see, like, all of the establishments. You're not even going to see Orgrimmar.
No, you don't see, like, Thrall and Jaina Proudmoore.
You see Thrall.
Well, yeah, you do. You do. But like we were saying, this is the first story. This is the story from orcs versus humans.
This is what they're teaching. This is what's in all the history books and all the libraries in World of Warcraft.
Yeah, this is basically what kickstarts their entire universe. And we get to see that. And it's pretty fantastic. I like the story because it's fairly straightforward and simple. Orcs versus humans.
Yep.
You know, you could say good guys versus bad guys, but if you really look at the orcs, they're not necessarily bad. They just solve their problems differently than, say, the humans. So to give you a general idea of what you can expect from the movie, we'll give you a rundown of the plot.
Yes, this is the general story that they're telling. If you've played Warcraft, of course you know it. If you listen to like NPCs talk in World of Warcraft, you might get the gist of it, but this is the basic story that I'm sure they're going to build a whole movie franchise off of.
Oh, it's going to be a very easy thing to do. There's so much to work with because whereas the story is essentially fairly basic with orcs versus humans, they built really strong and unique perspectives of the orcs and the humans. So that being said, give us a rundown.
So starts off, we see the orcs. It's really, the whole film is more from the orc perspective than it is from the human, which is nice because we're humans and we know how it's going to go down. So
This is true. This is true. They open on the orc homeworld of Draenor.
Yes. And Gul'dan is leading his people through this dark portal. And they go to Azeroth because sorry, I was going to say Durtar.
Draenor is a dying world.
Draenor's a dying world.
Yeah, they don't go into big detail of what's happening, but they simply say that their world is dying, and they touch on this throughout the movie as well, of saying not seeing snow anymore, or to see trees again was so nice, so they don't go into details, but it's dying.
So Gul'dan is leading his people to a new world to conquer, ultimately. So they go through the dark portal, it leaves them to Azeroth, where, of course, they find these humans. Oh, they're small, we're going to destroy all of them. We need their babies and their children and them to get more power because Gul'dan is very, 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 very power hungry.
They've essentially led the strongest of the orcs, or a strike team of the orcs, through the portal initially. Your strongest and best warriors to kind of scout it out and see before bringing the rest of the orcish horde through the dark portal.
Well, they needed more power to bring the entire horde, so they were going to go harvest the humans.
Yeah. So.
And one of these strongest orcs was, of course, Duratan, who's a little iffy about the whole situation.
Yeah, clearly he's struggling. He's, I would say, kind of the protagonist of the movie, I think.
Ultimately, he hasn't taken the fell.
Yeah, and that's something that they talk a lot about and they touch on a lot throughout the movie is the fell, which is a slight change on the lore. Well, not necessarily, because in the lore it was the orcs drank demon blood, which gave them power, made them stronger, turned them green. They don't do that, but they don't really say where the fell came from.
Well, what makes demon blood powerful?
Fair point. So, again, this may be something that we see more of. We may see where Gul'dan originally got it from in later movies, perhaps, or they just leave it at that, but I felt like it worked really well with the fell.
But as they go into Azeroth, of course, they find the humans. The orcs immediately start killing them, fighting them. Duratan's like, I don't like the way this is going. He goes and seeks some sort of companionship from the humans in order to save his people, because he realizes that if the orcs keep going the way they are, they're going to destroy this world too, and then the orcs themselves will be destroyed in turn.
So that's the basic plot of the movie, is Duratan is on a quest to save his people from being destroyed by this evil power, whereas the humans are trying to protect their home from this invading force. And it's a pretty strong, powerful movie. I think you would really be able to compare this movie to a lot of fantasy-based movies.
Yes.
Lord of the Rings being obviously the most direct comparison. I feel like
the different races.
Yeah, definitely. The different interactions between those races and the understanding or lack thereof between them.
Alliances.
Yeah, it just misunderstandings of how you work as compared to how we work, and just minor cultural differences. So it's really strong in that regards of building two unique perspectives. You get an understanding of how the orcs work and how the humans work, how the humans view something compared to how the orcs view it. And much like World of Warcraft, neither side is particularly good or evil. There are good and evil within either side of it.
Yes.
But it's simply just a difference in perspective, which is the thing that I enjoyed probably most about this movie, is just that building of these two strong sides of what's basically the same coin.
And it gives you a good, solid story.
Yeah, definitely.
But what really gets the story across is the cinematics.
Oh, definitely.
The whole visual of the movie. This movie, it's been over 20 years.
In the making, essentially. I mean,
because these characters, they've been around for that long, so of course they were strongly developed characters, but there's no way they could have produced a movie of this quality 5-10 years ago. So I'm glad they waited. I am so glad they waited, because it's beautiful.
Well, and, I think a lot of Blizzard fans were possibly concerned with would they be able to capture what is the signature Warcraft style and look. It kind of, it's not quite cartoony, but it's very distinct, and I think they captured that perfectly with this movie. The orcs look different than the orcs from, say, like Lord of the Rings. They look different from designs they used in, say, The Hobbit, and it was really cool because they looked and felt like they were pulled straight from the game. And I don't mean that in a, like, it looked goofy. No, it fit with the story they were telling. These orcs were much larger than the humans and did look monstrous.
And you had all the details in their tusks and the jewelry they wore on them.
Yeah, it was
just blew my mind. If any of you have played World of Warcraft, I hope you didn't skip the cinematic openings, because that's what this movie was.
Some of the shots in the movie looked like they straight up watched the cinematics and said, okay, I want to use that, and we're going to just put it on the big screen. Yeah. So that was cool. The set designs were amazing too. The design and the look of the Dark Portal, the way Stormwind looked, the way Ironforge looked, being in front of the giant anvil. And for fans of World of Warcraft, like we said, you might not necessarily see a lot of faces that you recognize. You'll definitely see places that you recognize.
Yes.
So I think that was kind of one of the really neat things that a World of Warcraft player or fan could come away with is Stormwind. Well, I've walked past that particular set of buildings like 100 times.
Over that bridge.
Yeah, so it's very, very cool to see these places that you've walked by 100 times on the big screen. It was very, very cool.
And the griffin actually looked amazing. I never realized they had little ears like that.
Me neither. It was cool, and he was always.
I guess on a laptop, it's not that detailed.
Slightly. The thing that I enjoyed the most was the look of the armor and the weapons, because it looked incredible. They were so distinct. They obviously put a lot of work into how they looked, and it was really, really cool.
Well, especially the difference between the human weapons and the orc weapons, because the orc weapons were very big. They were very rugged, like the hammer and the big cleaver. Just obviously wrapped with leather and chunks taken out, and just brute force. But then all of the Stormwind armor and weapons were beautiful, perfectly polished, everything embellished with lion heads, just pure silver and gold.
It was
just complete visual separation. It was great.
Yeah, it was great. They did a wonderful job of this movie. At no point did I look at it and say, "Ooh, that looks a little weird," or "That's oddly placed."
The one thing that it was cool when they first showed it, but it just kind of, the more I looked at it, I was like, that looks like a piece of candy. His lion ring.
It did look kind of delicious.
I was like, that looks like a blue raspberry ring pop.
It looked tasty.
And I would have eaten it.
I would have,
but
it felt really bad because then we couldn't have summoned the Guardian if we needed him. But
sorry, everybody.
It was so tasty. No, it did, but that was something that I noticed too, that everything seemed to blend really, really well and pop. We saw this movie in standard. If you see it in IMAX 3D or just 3D, I could see it being I could see it being a very, very different experience, because I was blown away watching it in standard definition. So if they did like a high res, like a 4K or so, man,
well, especially the shots. I know there weren't actually cameras at the Dark Portal, but the shots that they do of the Dark Portal as it's being built, from down up, and the magic.
Yeah, it was impressive. It was very, very impressive. What did you think about some of the characters in the movie? Some of the performances that we saw. My favorite, before you answer, Gul'dan. Gul'dan was my absolute... everything that he did, he said, I was like, this guy is perfect. Like, he's so creepy and cool. The voice was there. The look of him was there. And he was by far, like, my favorite to watch of the movie.
Well, especially watching the Warlords of Draenor cinematic opening, it really was like they just plucked him right out of the game and threw him on the screen, and I was like, oh my god, it's almost like he really was just a real character, because he was so well developed, and his facial expressions and his clothing and just the way he talked he had such depth to him.
He was menacing, and he was creepy and weird.
Punched, and he had all the things.
Yeah, it was cool. The thing that I appreciate the most about the use of the character was the way the orcs viewed him, because orcs in the movie and really in that world are very built around like strong brute strength. They settle things by a fist fight, between one-on-one combat to settle things. So having someone like Gul'dan, who is just this kind of magic user, he's not quite as big, he's not quite as strong as, say, like Duratan or Doomhammer or Blackhand or Hellscream, but he commands a presence and he commands respect largely through fear and they don't understand everything that he can do, but they know that he's powerful and he's strong in ways that they are not. So that was really cool. Even when he would do something that would anger the other orcs and they were like, oh, he cheated. Nobody was stepping in to do anything about it because they're like, I'm so... Yeah, but so for me, I asked you a question and I was like, well, I'm going to let you finish, but Gul'dan was the best character in the movie. So, but that's for me, Gul'dan, absolutely thought he was the coolest, stood out the most. He was great.
I really loved Draka. She was awesome.
Yeah.
I loved her design. You don't really get to see that many female orcs. And really they don't really stand out because, well, they're all the same. They're all warriors. They all wear big armor, and like you get a close up of one as she's laughing when one of the other orcs throws a horse at a human,
which was pretty cool.
She turns around and laughs, and you can tell it's her, a female, because she's wearing a breastplate. But you know, you don't really get to see any as much as you get to see Draka. But I loved her strength, and I loved her power, and I loved the love between her and Duratan.
Yeah, that was such a great way to open the movie. Just their interaction together, and this, like, man, they're these two strong warriors, but they're a loving husband and wife, and they're poking fun at each other, and it was really nice and refreshing. We had big smiles on our faces because we were like, this is friggin' adorable. I agree. She was pretty fantastic.
But on the flip side of that, I really loved Duratan too, because he was almost the most human.
He was strong orc.
He was the only one who really, like, they all had respect and honor for their people, but he had a love, and that's what made him different.
He did, and I think a lot of ways you could see similarities between Duratan and Lothar. Yes. I thought they were very, very similar characters, and I hated that they didn't have more interaction between the two of them. I think that would have been really cool, but it worked, and I understand why in terms of the way the story was driving forward. But
if they did have as much interaction as they probably should have in order to really mesh, then they would have really meshed, and...
Exactly. There wouldn't have been large misunderstandings between the two people, because Lothar would have been like, oh, well, this is what this dude's about. You know? But, ironic that we're like, those orcs are our favorites, not the humans.
Well, like I said earlier, it's really told from Duratan's perspective. It's kind of the story of Thrall's parents and what led the war to start from their side, not necessarily the human side, which is great.
Yeah, it was fantastic. That's the one thing I think a lot of people can take away from this movie is there were a lot of really strong performances throughout the whole cast. Like, everybody had their role down. They played it well. They delivered really well.
Medivh was good.
Yeah, Medivh was really good. I liked the tortured, confusion of just everything about him. I thought was really cool. Khadgar was great to start out as kind of like the bumbling, like, I don't know, what am I going to do? Well, he wasn't really bumbling, but he was a kid. He played young, so that was...
Kind of not really unsure of himself, but kind of trying to present, himself as, I renounced my vow. I am an independent man.
Garona, I really loved her character. I thought she had an excellent arc throughout the movie, and really her character never changed. Like, she remains this constant outsider, even when she's accepted at the end by the orcs.
Well, and she learns throughout the film, like, Medivh tells her about love and all that kind of stuff. And you see the wheels turning. But she is this kind of outside liaison between humans and orcs, like Blade.
Yeah.
Never really will never really have a home.
She will never really have a people, for she is of all the people, and yet of none of the people. The people.
But as she was talking to the humans, she didn't come straight out and be like, hey, I'm half you. She was all orcs are like this.
Well, and that's something too. They never said what she was half of. I believe in the game she's half Draenei, half orc, which would explain why she can speak to a Draenei in the beginning of the movie.
Right.
But there was also, I believe that got retconned because originally she was supposed to be like half human, half orc. But
well, there's one line. There's one line that she says, "I am not orc, nor am I human."
Yeah, so that
was kind of okay. So she's half human, and they talked about the human slaves and how she used to hang out with them.
Yeah, so maybe it was maybe it's left ambiguous. Maybe again it will get kind of a further.
Yeah.
Maybe we won't.
We just know her mother was an orc. Her mother was killed because she had her the cursed orc,
which is what her name means. Garona means curse, which was a nice little touch where it's like, man, maybe she didn't ever actually have a name. This is just what they're screaming at her, which is heartbreaking, tragic. So, you know, what were some of the really cool little touches or Easter eggs from the game that you really appreciated to see in the movie?
Well, early on, an axe hit something, and it's totally like when you hit the play button. Like that sound bite, I was like,
where are they?
And they used a lot of little touches like that where if you play World of Warcraft, you
and even the RTSs,
your ears perk up.
Yeah.
But my favorite, which I will probably, when it comes out on home video, rewind it 1,000,000 times, is just seeing a damn Murloc under the bridge. And it made that noise.
And he was just chilling, like they're riding by and they're all like, and he's all like,
he was like, I'm gonna beat you.
So yeah, that was
he aggroed.
that was probably my favorite, although the polymorph was great, and not just because he did it, but because of what he said about it.
It only works on the weak-minded.
It only lasts about a minute, and I was like, "Hey!" So that was cool. There were a lot of, and there were so many more that I can't even remember because I felt like a kid watching this movie because I was just like, "Oh man, that's so cool! They said Goldshire. I know where that is. What dead went past? Well, I know what that is." So it was really cool to see this world come to life.
Yeah. And a lot of the magic that they cast, it actually had the same symbols that they used in the game as well.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like, Khadgar had on him, I don't know if it was a brand or a tattoo. It looked more like a brand.
Yeah.
But it was
magic.
the, symbol of the Kirin Tor.
Yeah,
and
Kirin Tor, which is like the arcane eye.
Yeah, and it's like I've had somebody throw the arcane blessing, or I can't remember
yeah,
where
the
it's...
little buff.
Yeah, I've had people throw that on me while I'm walking by them 1,000 times.
I've worn those Kirin Tor robes.
So that was, to me, that was the coolest part of the movie, that you were getting to see this world that you've taken part in and been in for, years now, come to life, and just hear them talk about these places. And again, like, it's kind of goofy to be like, oh man, the Elwood Forest, but you know where it is, and you've been there. You literally know everywhere they're going because you've walked there. You've seen these places. You've
quested there.
You've probably hated going to some of these places. But it was really cool, and it makes me excited to see where they're going to go and where they're going to expand it.
And I'm sure this film meant a little bit more to you.
Definitely.
Having played pretty much since the beginning.
I have played this game and these games since the beginning in 1994, and looking at the series itself and to see it evolve from, being what was supposed to be a Warhammer game originally, and then to becoming its own, unique story. So, well, I guess as much as it can. I doubt they changed very much in the process, but to go from Warcraft 1 to Tides of Darkness to Warcraft 3, which was phenomenal. It was amazing. And then expanded to the World of Warcraft. I wanted to cry. I wanted to cry seeing this come to life because been invested into this franchise for over 20 years, so to see it on the big screen and to be treated with respect and to be treated seriously and
that's true.
And done well and done right.
Yeah.
It was absolutely incredible.
And for me, I started with Burning Crusade, literally the midnight launch of it, took it home and played for about 2 weeks straight. Like straight, not like every day, like straight. But
there was no sleep in the old times.
There was no sleep in the old times. It was like, when you really, if you want to compare it to this world's real human history, it's like I got transported back to the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
And I got to see the king and George Washington, you know, like
it's like, hey,
it's like, oh, these are all these people that I've heard about.
Yeah, it was so much fun. So, and again, because we do have different play experiences, what do you want to see from a sequel? Because they clearly built it strong enough to go into a second, third, maybe even fourth movie if they really wanted to. Where would you like to see the sequel of a movie, or couple of sequels of a movie, go? Without knowing where they went in the games, where do you see the story going, or what would you like to see from a sequel?
I don't know. That's tough to say, because I know that the story's already laid out. So, more orcs and humans. Obviously, I want to see what happens to Thrall, because, you know, at the end he gets picked up by the humans, and it's terribly cute. But obviously, there's going to be something more there. Doomhammer goes to find him, I assume.
Well, not
he takes his fang.
I think in the original story, Doomhammer becomes War Chief. He takes Blackhand's position in the Horde. And later, when the orcs are defeated, they are put into internment camps. Thrall meets him and is like, "You're Doomhammer," and, you know, and reminds him like who he is, helps break him of his lethargy, and you know, that sort of thing. But so I don't believe so. I think it's just like he knows he will one day again see the son of Durtan.
That's true, because he probably doesn't know where Draka left.
Yeah, he just knows, like, one day I will find him.
He's strong. He will survive.
I will remind you who your father was.
Yeah. It makes my teeth hurt, because it's really strange that he's just like, but that was a nice touch, and it lets even a casual audience who's just like, oh, new movie, let's go see it. What's it about? I don't know. You know that there's more. There's so much more going to happen in the future.
Definitely.
I want to see more Night Elves, because Night Elves are cool. I want to see a Sprite Dragon.
Fairy Dragon.
Fairy Dragon?
Yeah.
I want to see a Fairy Dragon instead of a Murloc next time.
Oh.
Like, just get a little extra something. I wonder if they'll do the Dryads.
Maybe.
Deer people?
Well, I mean,
just like passing. And like not like sitting at the table like, I have to save the trees.
Yeah.
But, because that's what they do, right?
Yeah. So you want to see a lot more of the stuff from Warcraft 3.
I would like to
this because you're like, Night Elves, Dryads, because it's like, they haven't even discovered Kalimdor yet.
Oh, that's true. I can't wait to see Kalimdor.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think Warcraft 2 would be a logical place to pick the to pick the next movie up would be a very logical place. You know, you could start off with Stormwind burning to the ground, and, you know, the people of Stormwind having to flee to Lordaeron, and the Alliance and the big battles, and, you know, Gul'dan eventually betraying the Horde. Well, not betraying, but abandoning the Horde in search of more power, and things of that. You could do that. I think you could very easily kind of fast forward a bit, modify the lore timeline a little bit, and say, you know, the orcs and the humans have been fighting for 20 years or whatever, and this and that and the other, and you could introduce Thrall and possibly Arthas at that point, and, you know, maybe start incorporating some of the things from Warcraft 3, maybe not all of the things from Warcraft 3, but abridge the story of Warcraft 2 and pull more from 3. You could definitely do that. And then a third movie, you could have Arthas become a Death Knight and then become the Lich King.
Yeah.
I don't know how you introduce like Illidan and the Night Elves and like Tyrande.
So cool. However you want, just do it.
All I know is that we are not prepared.
I'm prepared.
I am prepared as well, as I believe everybody is. So,
especially with the way Medivh looked at the end.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see Illidan.
Yeah, that was really, really cool. Well, I mean, obviously, we enjoyed the film. If you can't tell, I mean, we clearly enjoyed it. But if you had to give it a ranking, 0 out of 10 axes, I get? Like, what's Hearthstones?
Warhammers.
Yeah, okay. 0 out of 10 Doomhammers. Where do you rate the Warcraft movie?
I'll give it an 8. Because it was fantastic. It was exactly what I expected. It did not exceed my expectations, which the bar is set pretty high because, like I said, with the just the cinematic openings of the expansions to World of Warcraft are like gold. Like they should be on the award shows. Like they should be up for best cinematography.
Definitely.
They put
probably
so much work into those. Like it makes me cry when I missed up a little bit, but still, just mouth open every time I watch one. So the bar was already set pretty high. So meeting my expectations is, it's a wonderful accomplishment. But I was not knocked out of my seat.
So 8 Doomhammers.
8 out of 10.
I give it a 10! What? A 10! No. Okay. No, not a 10, but honestly, probably a 9. 9, yeah. I mean, my expectations were fairly low, admittedly. I went in, I wanted to see 2 things. I wanted to see orcs versus humans. I got that. And I wanted to see cool stuff.
There was cool stuff.
That was pretty vague, but that's what I wanted. I was like, I want to see maybe like some cool magic use. I want to see cool fights or, cool stuff. That was it. So for those 2 expectations, I feel like I was pretty well satisfied. But that tends to be how I approach a lot of movies, is really simple or low expectations just because, hey man, why not? That's just how I roll. If that way I'm never really... It's very rare that a movie disappoints me because I tend to be able to walk away with something to enjoy about it. And I enjoyed a lot from this movie.
It was amazing. It was visually stunning, but like I said, I had that expectation because I know what that studio can do.
I know what you people are capable of.
You better put that into the movie, and they did.
We see you, Chris Metzen. We know what you're about. So...
A big shout out to Duncan Jones.
Yes, he did a great job with this movie, and honestly, it's a tall task to ask of anybody.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to direct this 1 multi-million-dollar blockbuster, and 2, it just happens to have a giant fan base.
You're right. It happens to have been around since '94 and is probably the most numerous and critical fan base that you could possibly make something for.
Yeah.
You want to?
No undue pressure. Good luck, fella. You got it. So yeah, he did a great job. Blizzard did a great job. Clearly had a very, very large involvement in the movie because it just that's Blizzard for you. It
feels great.
Yeah, they do not disappoint. Well, I have to say I look forward to a sequel. I look forward to more. I can't wait to see it again. I can't wait till it comes out on
home video.
Home video, and is this 1994 still?
Hey, it's still a video if it's on DVD and Blu-ray.
Good point.
Home video. Don't say tape, but you can say home video.
I would enjoy to watch a tape of this movie. I think it would be.
That would look like garbage.
It would. Okay. Well, folks.
It would be like 10 tapes.
Oh, it would. Huh. If it was like a Laserdisc, you'd have to have like 4 or 5 and flipping it over every time. Well, folks, let us know what you thought of the movie. If you enjoyed it, if you didn't enjoy it, what you wish you could have seen. Yeah, I mean, I feel like
if you haven't seen it, go see it.
Definitely, it's something you'll enjoy.
If you haven't played the games, play the games.
Yeah, they're really fun. They're really fun. Do it. Please like, subscribe, share. We appreciate all your comments that you guys give us. We appreciate the shares, the likes, the subscriptions. We're happy to do this for you guys.
Follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
And Instagram. Check our podcast out on Podomatic. I think
that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. As always, thanks for listening. I'm Mick.
I'm Courtney.
And if you're going to be a fan,
Loktar Ogar.